This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now here are your hosts, Ray DeLesio and Kenny Bergamy.
All right, time to put down that phone, grab some coffee and a blanket, and snuggle up to the smooth vocal tones of Kenny Bergamy. Now, seriously, welcome to the show. Mr. B, how about that rundown?
How about it, Ray? Coming up, is history repeating itself? Why fertilizer prices are on the rise, and when can we expect them to come down? We now have confirmation on a dangerous invasive pest in North Georgia, why cattle owners need to be on high alert. Plus, this video might be in slow motion, but the farmer in it likes to go really, really fast. Ray travels to Miller County and talks horsepower with peanut farmer Jeff Atkinson. These stories and so much more start right now on the Farm Monitor.
While commodity prices continue to rise, so too have input costs as the price of fertilizer is reaching record levels. Damon Jones tells you which crop will be affected the most and what farmers can do to help mitigate some of the expense.
For crops that look like this come harvest, farmers must put in plenty of time, work, and of course, money during the growing season. And some of those costs include regularly fertilizing their fields in order to promote healthy development. However, it's a practice that's becoming increasingly expensive.
In 2008, that was kind of the high water mark, if you will. They really peaked in 2008, around 80 cents per pound of NP and K. And but then they went down in 2009, and we are approaching those levels with N and with nitrogen and phosphorus right now. Maybe not quite so with potash yet, and we're hoping it doesn't go that high. But we're approaching those prices in 2008. And the bigger question is will they go back down again in the spring or by the time we plant crops in 2022?
Even though a shortage in supply and increase in demand can explain the surge in price, there are a number of factors that led up to it.
You almost have to take the nutrients separately. For example, with nitrogen, it's tied to natural gas prices. The natural gas prices are up right now, and not all, and some plants have been shut down. We have some short-term things like the hurricanes in the Gulf affected it, but in the long run, it has a lot to do with just the price of producing these fertilizers.
With agriculture being the #1 industry in the state, several farmers would be affected by the increased cost. However, one crop would be under the most pressure.
When you look at it, corn probably needs the most fertilizer, especially nitrogen. So, you know, in theory, that one should be hurt. But ironically, that one's probably driving the demand because we had a good year. Really, all the crop commodity prices are pretty good right now. You take cotton, for example, it's pretty high. Cotton doesn't take as much fertilizer, especially as much nitrogen, so we might be a little bit better off there. And of course, peanuts that we grow here in South Georgia, they fix their own nitrogen, so we can get around that one. But so I would have to say overall, if the prices stay high, I'd worry more about how we're going to get all the fertilizer on corn.
As for what can be done to control some of those added costs, growers are encouraged to properly maintain their field in order to get the most out of the fertilizer they use.
You know, there's no magic bullets, I say, when it comes to dealing with these high fertilizer prices. Do a lot of things we should do anyway. Good soil sampling, use a reputable lab for recommendations. Maybe not one that has a lot of maintenance this year. Might have to draw on some of the maintenance you've been doing on things like P and K in years past. And then there's other things we have a tendency to forget about, like liming and pH. Having your pH in the proper range will help you with uptake of all the fertilizer nutrients. There's some other things we've tried, things like banding fertilizer, but that we don't think that gives you a lot of efficiency, and you got to really be careful when you start cutting your inputs like that and cutting back on your fertilizer, because you say I abandoned it, you might still come up short. So you got to be careful on some of those strategies.
Reporting from Tift County, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
On to other news now. This was in Augusta. Ag teachers and county office volunteers from around the state gathering for the annual Georgia Farm Bureau Educational Leadership Conference. Organized by the GFB Women's Leadership Committee, the event focuses on ag literacy and how best to spread the story of agriculture in classrooms. While there was plenty of good information to be learned, that's not the only thing attendees were encouraged to take home.
I hope that from today everyone takes away the opportunity to find a place in Farm Bureau, that they find a cheerleader, that they find someone that has their back, and that they have someone there that's encouraging them to take not only the next step within women's leadership, within ag literacy, and just as a place to find a home in our organization.
In case you missed it, during Sunbelt Expo recently, Georgia Farm Bureau held its inaugural Advocacy and Action Challenge, a competition for high school and college students that's meant to coach and teach the next generation on how to talk about, lobby, and advocate for the ag industry. Katie Duvall, Advocacy and Policy Development Coordinator for Georgia Farm Bureau, says based on this year's participants, the ag industry is in great hands, and she's already looking forward to next year.
The turnout from this first year, we had over 20 submissions in our first portion of the contest. We narrowed it down to 3 high school finalists and 2 college finalists. The quality was outstanding. These kids are really something to write home about. We really couldn't be more pleased with the first round and look forward to doing it again next year, partnering with some of our friends across the Southeast. We did have our winning team was from the state of Florida, so it wasn't just a Georgia contest. We're open to any of the states who attend the Sunbelt Ag Expo, and like I said, really hope to expand upon it next year.
Each year, invasive species are introduced to different ecosystems due to various reasons. In 2017, a particular invasive species was discovered on the U.S. East Coast and has since made its way to Georgia. As John Holcomb explains, it's a parasite that could potentially cause livestock producers a lot of problems.
If you own a pet, are human, or have livestock, beware. According to officials, there's a new parasite on the loose in Georgia known as the Asian longhorn tick, a tiny creature that first arrived in the U.S. in 2017 and was discovered in Georgia back in September and can cause a lot of harm to whomever or whatever it latches onto.
The Asian longhorn tick, as you might guess from its name, originates in Asia. We don't know how it got to North America, but it showed up in New Jersey in 2017. So 4 years ago it was in New Jersey. Since then, it has spread to 17 states, with Georgia being number 17. The Asian longhorn tick has a very wide host range. It really likes cattle, but it also does very well on white-tailed deer, coyotes, foxes, cats, dogs, pigs, chickens, humans.
Just like most ticks, the Asian longhorn tick carries several different types of diseases. One of those is theileriosis, a disease that causes serious anemia in cattle.
In Asia, this tick transmits half a dozen different diseases. It may very well do the same here in Georgia. So far, we have not determined that it transmits anything other than theileriosis. We do have theileriosis already in the United States, and so we expect this tick to continue to transmit it.
Sadly, now that the tick has been found here in the state, it's expected to thrive here in Georgia's climate. To make matters worse, females don't even need a male to reproduce.
They give virgin birth. They don't have to mate with a male to reproduce. And each female can lay over 2,000 eggs, each one of which hatches into a female, which can lay another 2,000 eggs. So the population can explode very rapidly. That's probably why this tick occurs in such huge numbers. But for that reason, we also expect it to expand its population quite rapidly. Even though it's only been found in one Georgia county, we expect that very soon we will be seeing it in other counties.
Georgia already is home to 22 different species of ticks, and unfortunately, the Asian longhorn tick isn't that recognizable, making it that much harder to know if you may have it on your farm.
Georgia has 22 species of ticks to begin with. Now we have 23 with the Asian longhorn tick. Unfortunately, the Asian longhorn tick looks pretty much like every other tick in Georgia. It's small, kind of brownish, sucks blood, nothing particularly unusual about it. So we don't really expect people to recognize the Asian longhorn tick. Probably the tip-off that you're looking at an Asian longhorn tick is numbers. When you find an Asian longhorn tick, you usually find dozens or hundreds of them. So if you find an animal, cow, dog, pig, whatever, with lots and lots of ticks on it, be very suspicious. That may be Asian longhorn tick. It's going to be active during the spring, summer, and fall. The Asian longhorn tick reproduces primarily in the summer, but you still have active populations late into the fall.
Reporting in Athens for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
John, thanks so much. Well, folks, buckle your seatbelt because when we come back, We're kicking up the horsepower and taking you from the harvester to this piece of muscle machinery and the peanut farmer who drives both of them. Stay tuned.
My name's Ralph Sandiford. I'm from third generation farmer from Midville, Georgia. Started farming right after I graduated from University of Georgia in 1981. On our farm, we've been pretty consistent growing cotton, peanuts, corn. We got some pecan trees. Been sticking with pretty much the same rotation now for all these years, and it's been very successful for us. One of the things that we're really learning is every day is a challenge to us. If you think you've learned it all in farming, especially peanuts, you're going to get in trouble. You've got to start paying attention to what Extension is doing for us and the new technology and all that's coming out there, because things change every day. So you can't just go to sleep and think you got it figured out, because tomorrow it will be different. Over the 40 years, probably the biggest change has been computers. Every tractor has a computer on it. I was more of the mechanical type all my life and enjoyed it, but now I've got my son who graduated from Georgia, Jacob. He's back here and farming me, fourth generation, and he likes that side of it. So it's really worked out well for us to have both sides on the farm to keep it going. One of the things we've learned in farming that I noticed when my son was with me, Jacob was out there with me one day and we were talking about it, and he said, "What's that that spot in that field out there that nothing's growing?" And I said, "Well, what's happening is our land is eroding away." So in the last 8 years, we have gone to complete cover crops. And back then, people growing peanuts said, "You can't grow cover crops and turn around and put peanuts in those cover crops." Well, since then, it has really rolled over that growing peanuts in cover crop is really working good for us. We're saving moisture. It makes the peanuts easier to dig. We're just having all kind of good luck with that. And fertilizers don't wash away. The land is not nearly as erodible as it was. So to pass it on, Jacob's really realizing that we've got to take better care of our soil. So we're really working down the road of building the fields up as we're going. It's my favorite time of the year when we start flipping the peanuts over, getting them on top of the ground. That smell out there is just a wonderful thing. And watching the harvesters run and dumping it all on the trailers and watching them pile up, that's just the greatest time of the year, watching harvest and know that you produced a crop. Good Lord's been blessed, been giving it to us. We've been really blessed in growing crops, and we know this year we got another one good one coming, and we're really excited about it.
For Damascus farmer Jeff Atkinson, at times, life on the farm can feel like it's moving at a snail's pace, laid back, relaxing. He enjoys his tractors, loves hearing this sound. But when he's not farming, this sound here really gets his heart racing. Literally.
My dad did it for years, so I tagged along with him. Always intrigued by it, always wanted to learn more as we got along. Started doing it on my own started driving his car at 16. Drove it for several years and had a little bit of success, but as a young kid, your head's not in the right place. You're better than everybody else.
But eventually, Jeff matured, his ego left in the dust, so to speak, and now he's a regular on the NHRA professional drag circuit, traveling the country, all while promoting Georgia Peanuts and the Georgia Peanut Commission, one of his sponsors.
everybody knows me as the Peanut Man. We go to the races. One of the first questions we get asked him when we're in Minnesota or California or anywhere like that is, hurry up and get unloaded so you can get the peanuts out. They all they love the samples of peanuts that we bring. It's a good fit for me. They can hire someone, they can sponsor someone else, but they can't really give them firsthand information on the peanut, on the growing, the sustainability, profitability, the protein value, everything else. They can't do that the way that I can. Some of the silly questions we've been asked about peanuts over the years is, do you have to plant them every year? Do they grow on trees? You know, so it's been very enlightening for me. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy going around the country promoting peanuts.
Peanuts, though, just a small portion of Jeff's extensive operation. As part owner of JDA Farms, along with his wife and daughter, Jeff also grows cotton, corn, soybean, and wheat in Miller, Baker, and Early County. Yes, he loves the rumble of a powerful engine, but long before he got behind the wheel of a race car, Jeff was driving tractors.
My earliest memories are me 5, 6, 7 years old. Huge baseball cap, the cap's way bigger than my head, me on a tractor. Several of the old men said that they saw the hat way before they did me on a tractor. I was so small till I had to take both hands, pull on the bottom of the steering wheel to smash the clutch or the brakes to stop. But I knew immediately that playing in the dirt was what I wanted to do.
Take me inside the cab of both. Tell me that feeling when you start up the cab for that peanut harvester, and tell me that feeling when you start up that race car.
Two totally different deals. I want the cab of the tractor to be just as quiet as possible. I don't play a radio, I don't play anything like that. I want to be able to hear the hum of the machine and make sure that everything is operating properly behind me, whatever I'm doing. In a race car, I want to hear a lot of noise. You're listening for problems that may occur with both, so there's a lot of similarities. The rush that you get with a race car is undescribable. The racing's pretty simple. When I don't feel like I'm competitive anymore, when I don't feel like I can do it, I'll quit. I'm not going to go out there and just be a number. Right now, I still feel like I can compete with anybody out there. So I'm going to continue to do that. The farming, I would like to slow down. But as far as completely quitting, I don't see myself doing that for a long, long time.
Yeah, he's pretty much the poster child for cool, isn't he? Well, speaking of cool, this was awesome. A group of ABAC students jet-setting on an educational trip like no other. That's next when the Farm Monitor continues. Finally this week, some trivia for you. What ventured through 5 states and took over 4,400 miles to complete, Kenny?
The 2021 ABAC Farm Tour, of course, and the cameras and drones were rolling every step of the way. So from the fine folks at ABAC's video production staff, that entire adventure condensed down to just a few short minutes.
The ABAC Agronomy Club Farm Tour is something that we do hopefully every year. We take students that have an interest in agronomy or the ag industry to different locations throughout the U.S. So we try and find things that are really special to that region and expose students to as many things that they might not be able to see normally in as short of time as possible.
Our first visit was to a cannabis farm, and our connection to that was through Ross Sapp. Ross is an alumni of ABAC, and he started working there a couple of years ago. And he had actually invited me out to see the operation the year before, and I wasn't able to go. And I thought this was a great opportunity to go see an alumni and where he works, and also expose our students to an interesting part of agriculture. Something that we are just now getting into in Georgia is the cannabis industry.
So we got to see and learn a lot about their precision agriculture. We got to look at a map that showed the heat marks of kind of where they're high in production and low, so that they know where next year where to plant and where not to plant, which is very similar to what we do in Georgia, but just a lot more calculated compared to our like corn, cotton, and peanuts.
Many of our students have only really been exposed to kind of our major crops in the Southeast. You know, ABAC is a fairly regional school, so we have a lot of students with a lot of experience in cotton, corn, peanuts, and some of our row crops, but we don't have a lot of students that have seen large-scale agriculture and that is maybe different in other regions, or that they produce different things. So doing this, we get to expose our students to a lot of different types of agriculture, and also we get to build a lot of connections.
The next stop on our trip was McCarty Family Dairy. They were very open to us. They let us see anything and everything we wanted to see. It was really cool. It's a dairy that actually has a condensing plant. So they actually take the milk to the next step.
Got to see where they feed everybody and where they all comfortably sleep at night. And then we also got to see their parlor and got to see, you know, how they milk their cows and everything. And then we also got to see where they keep their silage and a lot of their commodities, and that was pretty cool.
After that, we left and we went to Co Farms, and that is in southwest Nebraska. And they are a very large operation. They have a lot of cattle and they grow a lot of corn. They were very honest with us with the struggles that they have in farming and the things that they're up against, which is good. It gives the students more a real sense of farming. Our next day was a Sunday, and that was the day we decided to do a lot of sightseeing. So we went north from Nebraska into South Dakota. We visited the Badlands. I remember the first time I saw that. You go, why in the world would they call something the Badlands? And you pull up and you go, I get it now, okay? It's just this vast stretch of nothing. Just to look out over it is just breathtaking. So we stopped by there. We left there and we went to one of our nation's greatest monuments, Mount Rushmore, and just the awe that it inspired in students was wonderful to see. But we moved on down into Colorado and we went to an irrigation research farm. Irrigation is very unique in Colorado. Not unique in the methods they use. The only unique method we saw was where they use siphon tubes to take water out of a ditch and run it down a laser leveled field. But we saw pivots and drip irrigation and things like that. But just the way they approach irrigation. Here we try to be as efficient as possible. They're studying that, but they also are required by law to return a certain amount of water to the aquifer so that it can feed the rivers in the area. So a very, very different way of approaching irrigation.
Doing this, we get to expose our students to a lot of different types of agriculture, and also we get to build a lot of connections. It's a way to immerse yourself in this industry. You get to build friendships that you're going to have, people that you'll be in classes with, people that, you know, maybe 5 years down the road, you can call on the phone and say, hey, I have this question and I know that you do cotton and I don't really do that. You know, you get to build those connections, and that will help you not just while you're at ABAC, but, you know, further on, and seeing the networking opportunities that we have are just really special.
Wow, a lot of fun on that trip. Well, just a reminder for all the latest ag news regarding food, recipes, and what's happening on Georgia farms, be sure you check out all of our social media platforms, including farm-monitor.com. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time right here on the Farm Monitor.
Have a great week.